Hi guys, welcome to Racing Heart. My name is Amir, and today I would love to start this video with a question. What comes to your mind when somebody says convertible? I personally picture a red, nimble sports car with 2 seats and somebody who I find to be really attractive sitting next to me. However, the cars that we're going to talk about in this list will never come to your mind when somebody says convertible, because they're pathetic, they're terrible, and it's the list of convertibles that nobody asked for. With that in mind, let's begin. Number 10. Reva Zephyr. Actually, you probably know this car under the name of G-Wiz. It was sold in the UK for a long period of time. However, the original car is made in India. It was introduced back in 2003. It's one of the dreariest cars that was ever produced by a man. Well, at least in my opinion. And somebody at the factory decided that it would be a great idea to make 2,000 examples of the convertibles. Yeah, it's the car that nobody asked for in the first place, but they decided to give it a go. But it was the first Indian convertible that was ever manufactured. It's widely hated within the community of the Top Gear, the original Top Gear, I mean. Jeremy Clarkson loves it, by the way.
G-Wiz, the little electric.
Yes.
Nice car, I've always liked them.
D2, please.
Number 9. The PT Cruiser Cabrio. Oh yes, the PT Cruiser. PT Cruiser always manages itself to get into the ugliest cars of the world list. But if you thought that PT Cruiser wasn't ugly enough, just know that there's a Cabrio version of it. In my opinion, it looks like a picnic basket. I mean, look at it. Especially when it's done in this sort of wooden livery. And other than that, I have nothing to say because, well, it's a regular PT Cruiser, so it has a regular powertrain. So with that in mind, I'm just gonna leave you to enjoy the beauty of this thing. Number 8. Nissan Murano. Actually, I never understood the point of coupe versions of regular crossovers, especially when they're based on the Murano and then converted into a convertible. Because when you're shopping something like a Murano, you're looking for practicality, big boot, easy to access rear seats with doors and stuff like that. However, this car has none of those features. I don't know what Nissan was thinking when they decided to make a convertible out of a Murano and what motivated them in the first place. However, they sold 5,769 examples of those things that were sold between 2011 and 2014. So if you ever feel pointless, just know that there's a convertible version of a Murano. Still on the subject of coupe versions of the regular crossovers. Number 7. Range Rover Evoque Cabrio. I still remember the hype when Evoque was being introduced and the fact that it was designed by Victoria Beckham and blah 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 and stuff like that. It's a baby Range Rover, and we were in diapers when that happened. I'm still in my diapers, but never mind. So initially when Land Rover introduced the Evoque, they made a 2-door coupe version of it, and they thought that the sales are gonna split like 60 to 40, 60 for the 5-door version and 40 for the coupe version. And on top of that, they decided to make a convertible version. I don't know what they were thinking. I guess it was the influence of Victoria Beckham. We will never find out. However, it's one of the most popular misunderstanding on this list. So it gives you clues what is gonna come next. Number 6. The Suzuki Vitara X90. What this was is a two-seater off-road SUV that was based on a regular Vitara, which is actually interesting in itself because Vitara also had a convertible version. And this car reminds me of the Cappuccino, which is actually a cool K car that was sold in Japan. However, this thing had all-wheel drive, and you can opt for rear-wheel drive for some reason, but it was a serious off-roader that had a body-on-frame design. I don't know what Suzuki was trying to prove with this thing, but it wasn't really popular. It was for sale for 2 model years, between 1995 and 1997. It was powered by a 1.6 liters 4-cylinder making 95 horsepower, which is actually pathetic. This is not the car that I would choose for a Sunday drive.
I can't handle it. Uncle,
Number 5. If you thought that Nissan and Land Rover were the only one who were daft enough to make a crossover convertible, you would be wrong, because Volkswagen looked at both of the companies and said, wait a minute, we can do the same thing. So they decided to make a convertible version of their T-Rog. And interestingly enough, it's the only convertible that Volkswagen currently makes. They discontinued the Beetle, they discontinued the Golf, so it's the only convertible that Volkswagen does. This thing is for sale mainly in European markets. I'm not sure about other markets. If you do, type down in the comments down below. So yes, it's the only crossover convertible that is currently for sale, and it's the only car on this list that is for sale right now. You can go ahead and buy one. Some honorable mentions: the Citroen C3 Purell. Actually, there's nothing really intimidating about this thing. It was a regular hatchback convertible. However, this thing had those terrible railings on the sides, which made removing the roof really inconvenient, because there were like those plastic bits that you had to remove in order to have a full topless experience, and there was nowhere to store them. So you either had a full-on convertible or you had like a regular hatchback. It was terrible at being a convertible hatchback. It was terrible at both. So yes, that's why it's on this list. Number 4. The Chevy SSR. Have you ever waken up to an idea that you suddenly need a retro-styled V8 powered 300 horsepower making to the rear wheels pickup truck that is also a convertible? Well, if you did, Chevy got you covered with their very best SSR. After you see things like that, you pretty much get clues why Chevy almost went broke in 2008. All those daft ideas, one after another, and I guess this is the daftest one of them. Interestingly, this thing had a hard cover for the bed in the back, and since it didn't have a proper boot like a conventional car, your stuff would have just flown around the bed. But wait, it gets worse. It was a 2-seater and it was only 2-wheel drive, which made the practicality of this thing really limited. So if there was ever a nomination for the car that was both terrible at being a pickup truck and being a convertible, this would win it. Number 3. Have you ever wondered what an automotive equivalent of this doll would look like? Well, if you did, here's an answer. It would be the Mercedes G-Wagon convertible. Originally, the convertible version of the G-Wagon was introduced back in the 70s. Back when a G-Wagon was a military car, not a fashion accessory. And since Mercedes never changed the styling of the G-Wagon, what ended up happening was really odd, because Mercedes didn't change the styling, but they changed the tech on it. They upgraded the wheels to much wider, and since they changed the wheels, they had to change their wheel arches as well. And on top of that, they slapped a spare tire to the back. Did I mention the fact that it has those rear triangular windows both on the body and the cloth top? So it was really ugly in my opinion, especially when it's parked to a regular G-Wagon. The production of the G-Wagon was between 1990 and 2013, with the final edition made in 200 examples with 5.5 liters V8, making 388 horsepower. By the way, Doug DeMuro has one. If you want me to make a video about the craziest editions of the G-Wagon, both from the factory and aftermarket, please type down in the comments down below, because I would love to do a video dedicated to it. Number 2, the Stava Yugo Cabrio. What Yugo is a Yugoslavian car manufacturer that was producing cars between 1980 and 2008. And for the time when it was sold in America, it was the cheapest car that you can buy in the American market. That was between 1985 and 1991. People quickly got the idea that it was a terrible car. However, Yugo decided to make a convertible version, which was supposed to be fun. Well, Americans love the convertibles, don't they? So this car was rarer than the Ferrari F40 because it was made in 500 examples, and only 100 of those 500 examples were sold to the America. I don't know what it is about this car, but I find it to be really cute and adorable. It's so terrible and pathetic that it's so cool. I don't know why. Yugo fans, don't get mad at me. I actually love those cars. And unfortunately, it's a pity that I wouldn't be able to drive one anytime soon. Too bad we don't have Yugo anymore, and too bad we don't have Yugoslavia even more. Some honorable mentions. Mercedes G650 Maybach Landaulet. Actually, it's not a convertible, but rather a Landaulet type of body style, which means that rear passengers get to have a removable roof, while the driver gets a conventional roof. And as far as I remember, they were selling for like €1 million. I'm not quite sure, but they sold them really quickly. It's not pathetic or anything, but it's just a weird combination. Like, it was a G-Wagon that was also a convertible, that was also a Landaulet, and it was also an off-road vehicle. It's really a strange combo, so that's why it ended up in this list. Number 1, Youabian Puma. You probably never heard of this car. Well, probably up until this point. It was introduced back in 2013, and it was built and designed by a guy whose main business was selling medical equipment, which kind of shows. The original goal was just to build a convertible. However, the guy thought it would be a great idea to make it into an off-road convertible. The thing was really expensive, nobody bought it, and he built this thing into an off-roader just to stand out from all of the competition. And stand out it did. Look at the thing parked next to Carrera GT, for example.
Jesus Christ.
So that is it for today. If you want me to make more videos, type down in the comments down below. What do you want me to discuss? And with that in mind, make sure that you're subscribed and hit the like button if you like this video. And we will see you next week.